Good evening and welcome to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. We are live on Family TV, also live on Family Radio. And now today is International Day for Disabled Persons. And we will be looking at some of the issues that are affecting this group of special people and also how they can be helped to make sure that their lives are comfortable. And also we will be looking at other stories and also the reaction of different leaders on the BBI proposal that was given yesterday by the Deputy President William Ruto on the postponement of BBI amendment and the BBI amendment to 2022 when we'll be having the general election and what they have to say about that. Remember, you can always talk to us using the WhatsApp number 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316 on Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316. We will also be having the very first episode of a very interesting segment of the show. This is Africa, and Cynthia McKenna will be here to grace us with that in a couple of minutes. But for now, let's get it started. Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has rejected proposals made by the Deputy President William Ruto on the BBI referendum push. Kalonzo says that referendum should not be held in 2022 and that the proposal to vote on multiple issues will only confuse Kenyans. He was speaking at Kalonzo Musyoka Foundation offices in Karen today.
You cannot, some of our fellow citizens are suggesting that you vote on a clause by clause, 78, I don't know how many clauses, as if we have not had a referendum in this country before. So, always practice, general practice is what has to happen. So you have to vote yes or no on the whole document so that we do not, again, complicate matters for our citizens. So we are set. As I said, this ship has literally left the harbor, and we want Kenyans to know the moment for change is here. Thank you.
Well, the Nairobi County Women Representative Esther Passaris has taken a swipe on the Deputy President William Ruto's hustlers narrative with claims it's meant to plunge the country into anarchy. The legislator cited massive unemployment among the youth coupled with poverty in the country, accusing Deputy Ruto of planting an explosive likely to erupt between the rich and the poor.
Uhuru Kenyatta na Raila Odinga wanataka peaceful elections. Ukiangalia America, watu wanasema sasa 70 million people walivote Trump. 80 million walivote Biden. Huwezi kuignore sa ile elections ziko hivyo. Lazima find a way to respect even the others. So ule ambao atakuwa opposition, pia apewe cheo, apewe nafasi ya kuserve wale watu ambao waliamini yeye ndio angefaa kuwa president. Hatutaki post-election violence. We want Kenya to have investors that can come and make big investments without worrying about their investments going every 5 years. We want agriculture, food security. Iende mpaka mashinani. Counties wapate pesa ya agriculture. They become developed. Devolution iko na pesa nyingi, wamepewa pesa zaidi. Ili kila government ijitetee na itetee watu wake. Wajua wale ambao wanataka shida, angalia Somalia. Angalia Ethiopia sasa. Hatutaki shida Kenya. Nani hapa anataka vita? Sasa hii mambo ya mahasla. Hatutaki kufanya kitu ambao itafanya watajiri na maskini waanze kupigana. Kwa sababu kuna tajiri anaweza kuwa na duka na ameandika maskini amfanyie kazi. Si amempatia empowerment. Sasa tukileta hii kitu ya sisi ni mahasla na hao ni tajiri, watakuja kupigana. Na mimi nimefurahi Deputy President alisema ana support the BBI. Kama ana support the BBI, ana support his president, hivyo ndio inatakikana. Hata mwanamke ukiwa na shida na bwanako, unakaa na huyo bwana, si ndio? Hata uende umwambie nani bwanako ako na hii shida, utasaidika aje? Na bado unarudi kwa hiyo nyumba. Na kuna makanisa pia wanaiba hizi social halls. Social halls are for the youth and the women. Si ya kuweka kanisa. Kama unataka kanisa una rent Jumapili, lakini pia social halls, my youth wanataka kutumia hizo social halls. So hii mpango ya kupeana social halls kuwa makanisa, it has to stop. Tafuta hema yako, Hata uwekae nje ya mti, mujenge na congregation yenu, kanisa yenu. The social halls that have been grabbed by the churches have to be returned to the county so that the youth can have their social halls. This is not on, this is not right.
Well, there we have it, Mrs. Passari speaking to Nairobians. Well, today the country has recorded the highest number of recoveries from COVID-19 virus, and the government has announced that 11,324 more patients have recovered from the virus in the last 24 hours. This afternoon, Health CAS Dr. Rashid Aman said that this figure is the highest to be recorded in the country since March 13th this year, when the virus was first reported in Kenya. This brings the total number of recoveries to 67,788. The CAS was speaking during the 88th KMTC graduation held at the main campus in Nairobi, where 4,114 graduates conferred with the various certificates, diploma and high diplomas. However, 1,253 more patients tested positive, bringing the total number of cases to 86,383.
The country, I report to you that today 1,253 people have tested positive for the virus after testing a sample size of 10,170 over the last 24 hours. This now brings our level or total cumulative testing that we have carried out to 86,383. No, it brings, these are the number of confirmed cases that we have now. The cumulative number is 86,383. The cumulative number of tests that we have carried out so far is now 911,596. On a positive note, today 11,324 patients have recovered from the disease. 11,177 from the home-based care program and 147 discharged from various hospitals. This now pushes our cumulative total recoveries to 67,788. This is the highest number of recoveries we have had in a single day since this pandemic struck. I want to take this opportunity to thank our healthcare workers for their dedication to duty, which has enabled us to achieve this great result. Asanteni sana. Sadly, we have lost another 16 patients to the disease, bringing the fatality to 1,500. Our sincere condolences go to the families and friends of those who lost their loved ones.
And now let's head over to the safety of those that are using the road. And Samburu West Member of Parliament Naisula Leisuda has said that the drafting of the amendment bill meant to address the safety of cyclists and pedestrians on Kenyan Road is ongoing. The bill meant to introduce a holistic, non-motorized transport has been okayed by the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi. This bill seeks to ensure the construction of cycling lanes in urban centres and walking lanes to aid in attaining a sustainable road transport system in our country. The cyclist community and road safety advocates have of late been calling upon the consideration of cyclists on Kenyan Road and for lobbying of laws that are supporting the same.
If passed into law, the amendment bill will ensure cycling, walking lanes and all other road infrastructure that aid in attaining sustainable road transport systems in Kenya are in place and prioritized. I'm happy to inform Kenyans that the bill has been approved by the Speaker of the National Assembly and is undergoing drafting and review process before publication and introduction in the House.
Well, this is actually a good move, considering that we have some listeners and viewers on Family TV and Family Radio who are cyclists. It's actually a good move to ensure that their safety is actually and also guaranteed while they're using the road. You can always talk to us and contribute to any discussion that we are having using the WhatsApp number 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316. This is Wendy. Asante sana for tuning in to the show today, and I also have Elizabeth. Thank you so much for contributing to the discussions that we are having. Now, inmates across the country have been advised to apply for pleas, and this will help to reduce the number of sentences that they have been that has been given to them. At the same time, this will help to reduce the backlog at the prisons in our country. While this is the case, we still have high and increasing cases of teenage pregnancy and also HIV, and especially on the North Rift.
We had taken about a month to organize for this service week with the entire team involved in criminal justice system.
Plea bargaining is an agreement between an accused person and the prosecution, whereby certain concessions are made on both sides. The accused person pleads guilty either to the offense or a lesser offense in exchange of a more lenient sentence.
Have now put together the data from January to the end of September, and it is a bit worrying. We have reported 6,000 teen pregnancies, which in itself points to us that there's something we need to do to intervene.
Well, and today being the International Day of Disabled People, here is Modix Iro just telling us the latest statistics of the people living with disability, and especially in Kenya.
The annual observance of the International Day of Disabled Persons was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly resolution. The observance of the day aims to promote an understanding of disability issues and mobilize support for the dignity, rights, and well-being of persons with disabilities. Here are some of the disability statistics in Kenya. Number 1. According to the 2019 census, 2.2%, that is 0.9 million Kenyans, live with some form of disability. Number 2. The 2019 census indicate that 1.9% of men have a disability compared with 2.5% of women. Number 3. There are more people with disabilities living in rural than in urban areas. Analysis of prevalence rates by residents showed 2.6%, that is 0.7 million of people in rural areas, and 1.4%, that is 0.2 million of people in urban areas have a disability. Number 4. Analysis of disability by domain reveals that mobility is the most commonly reported difficulty, experienced by 0.4 million Kenyans and representing 42% of Kenyans with disabilities. The other domains of disability include seeing, hearing, cognition, self-care, and communication, which are experienced by between 36% and 12% of people with disabilities. Albinism is a condition experienced by 0.02% of Kenya's population. Number 5. The highest prevalence rates of disability were recorded in central, eastern, and western parts of Kenya. Embu County at 4.4% has the highest prevalence rate, followed by Homa Bay at 4.3%, Makueni at 4.1%, Siaya at 4.1%, and Kisumu County at 4%. Counties with the lowest disability prevalence rates are found in the northeastern part of Kenya and Nairobi. Wajir has the lowest with 0.6%. In conclusion, persons with disabilities are less likely to access healthcare, education, employment, and to participate in the community. An integrated approach is required to ensure that persons with disabilities are not left behind.
Well, there we have it. And during this day, I just want us to remind ourselves that even those people that are living with disability are still part of our communities. I remember there's a time I went to this, it was a school actually, and I could see that they have their own place for moving. You know, with having the wheelchairs, mobility can be a problem, especially when we have staircases in a place, in a building. And now they had actually built the ramps for the disabled children and pupils to walk in, and this was very encouraging, considering that this is not a school that is specialized for disabled persons. This is actually a good move, but it's a reminder that they are still our brothers and sisters, and we need to live with them as a community. And remember, they say disability is not inability. They can do each and everything that you who is not disabled can actually do. Now, the Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko has been impeached, and 88 MCAs voted for the ouster motion today afternoon to kick out Sonko, with only 2 voting against the motion and 2 abstaining from the assembly. The impeachment vote sailed through virtually amidst claims that by 21 MCAs that their accounts have been logged into without their knowledge. The ward representatives who are looped up by Sonko in Kwale vowed that they would head to the court to challenge the controversial votes. And in the Senate, if the Senate actually upholds this assembly's decision, Nairobi residents will be heading back to the ballot to elect a new governor, since, remember, this city and this county does not have a deputy governor. Sonko, however, refused to appoint a deputy following the resignation of Polycarp Igathe early this year. Is it last year? Now, for quite some time now, Nairobi County has not been having a deputy governor. And now, the Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko has just been impeached. If the Senate passes this, then the Nairobi people will be heading back to the ballot to find out if they will be getting a new governor. Remember, the NMS is still taking control and actually making changes in Nairobi County. And as per very many people were saying, and the last time we had this discussion, we had a lot of people actually commending the NMS boss, Mohamed Badi, for doing a great job. Well, let's wait and see how that unfolds. Ethiopia and the United Nations have reached an agreement to channel desperately needed humanitarian aid to a northern region where a month of war has killed, wounded, and uprooted large numbers of people. The pact, announced by the UN officials yesterday, will allow aid workers to unimpededly access the government's controlled areas in Tigray, where federal troops have been battling the Tigray Police Liberation Front and captured the regional capital. Here is the current state of Ethiopia.
What you're watching is a full-scale humanitarian crisis sweeping Ethiopia. While much of the world is gripped by a virus and vaccine, others are gripped by war and want. Over 40,000 people have fled the fighting and bloodshed in the northern Tigray region, many with nothing but the clothes on their back.
If we were in our city, it would be very, very, very dangerously. So right now here, at least we are safe. When we try to escape, we didn't take any kind of luggage or baggage. We just only escaped.
Walking for days to get to the Tikize River, where boats ferry them across to sanctuary in Sudan. Last week, they were normal families with normal homes. Today, they're refugees.
We never expected to be refugee. We never expected. I can tell you for sure, 100%.
And this is what now passes for home. A squalid, tented camp that offers little shelter or dignity. Here, women tell terrible tales of a biblical struggle, some even giving birth while they were fleeing.
I gave birth in the desert under the strong sun. No one was around. I didn't have any clothing. Then some people saw me. They came towards me and gave the baby a bath in some random puddle. I've been in this refugee camp 14 days and haven't received anything. I have no clothes to wear.
Their exodus is propelled by an all-out war between the ruling party in the Tigray region, known as the TPLF, and Ethiopia's central government. Officially, hundreds have already been killed. Human rights activists fear the death toll is even greater.
What we're hearing is that there have been indiscriminate attacks from both sides.
Activists say there have been reports of ethnically targeted killings. Those who managed to escape described scenes of carnage.
People were killed with bullets, knives, swords. We ran into the desert and then into the mountains to hide. Today we came here and we only just made it.
Tensions between the TPLF and the central government have been brewing for years, but it all came to a head last month when the TPLF attacked bases belonging to Ethiopian defence forces in Tigray. In a move to reassert control, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered the military into Tigray to dissolve the TPLF.
We want to send a message to the public in Mekelle to save themselves from any artillery attacks and free themselves from the junta. After that, there will be no mercy.
Abiy was deemed a reformer when he came to power in 2018, even winning the Nobel Peace Prize for ending a decades-long war with neighbouring Eritrea. But this latest incursion has raised grave concerns about his leadership.
So he normalized instability, he normalized chaos in the country, and that's why we're here.
Over the weekend, Ethiopia's military took control of the capital of Tigray, prompting the Prime Minister to declare victory, claiming not one civilian had been killed. But until today, communication and access to Tigray had been completely cut off. Even now, those claims are hard to verify. The only thing that's beyond dispute, this war is tearing families apart. Rahil has become a refugee. She says her mother was killed, and even now, she doesn't know where her siblings are. The loss is too much to bear. In the fight for self-determination, this war is far from over. The TPLF says it's not backing down, and there are also grave concerns over the fate of tens of thousands of Eritrean refugees who are inside Tigray.
Well, there we have it. That is the situation in Ethiopia, and let's continue praying for them. And when we come back after this short break, we will still be looking into matters Africa with This is Africa by Cynthia McKenna. And as earlier promised, This is Africa, and today we are having the very premium season of this segment, just focusing on what is happening in Africa. And here is Cynthia McKenna with that.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia McKenna, and this is Africa, the show where we check on all the trending topics that are happening right here in our motherland, Africa. Let us start with our neighbors to the north, Ethiopia. This is the latest on the fight between the TPLF, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, and Ethiopia.
Ethiopian government soldiers took the city of Mekelle, the regional capital of Tigray, without much fighting. Their enemy, the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, appeared to have decided not to put up much resistance.
Wait, what? The fight is over? Like, seriously? No, seriously. From one African to another, what is actually happening?
Before November 4, Tigray was one of the most stable regions in the country, and there was very successful election. There was already acceptable government, and the unelected government of the Prosperity Party is trying to destabilize the federal system and install a single political narrative. So that's a problem.
Elections. The same elections that happened in September that acted as a tipping point of this war. The ones that were held by the Tigray people, while the rest of the nations decided not to have an election simply because of a pandemic. Okay. The interesting thing is videos and photos have been circulating of the military celebrating their win. There are also photos of weapons that were supposed to be used by the TPLF militia to fight this war. The truth is, I'm not buying it. Because how do you explain the refugees in Sudan?
They were looting our properties and wanted to kill us, so we all fled. We heard our people being shot, we saw dead bodies, so my family and I took what we could from our properties. We have farms that we should be harvesting, but we left everything behind. Some even left their family members.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister and Nobel Prize winner Abiy Ahmed held a speech stating that Tigray residents were not hurt during the takeover of Mekelle, the main town.
What I call victory would be if we were fighting against any other country, but it was within ourselves. The ones who died and the ones who killed are, of course, our own, but the special force in Mekelle made sure we controlled the city without killing a single person.
Just after comparing this war with how the US attacked Japan in the World War. The interesting thing is, this speech was so long, it had 3 different translators translating the speech from Amharic to English. This should come as an example to every leader. Your speeches are way too long. If I cannot tweet it, then it's long. In our beautiful continent, South Africa has been hit the hardest when it comes to the coronavirus. Mauritania has been hit the lowest. I mean, look at that. They look like they are the only northern country that know what they're doing during this pandemic. But we are looking at South Africa as our case study. Why are the numbers so high? And the truth is, it's not so different from what we are experiencing here in Kenya.
We'll find that there's 20 houses in one yard that shares one toilet, one basin where you wash your hands. It's just behind the toilet. So it's difficult. Most of people cannot isolate staying in Alexandra because there's no space for that.
By September, 534 members of staff here caught the virus. The majority were nurses.
Yet the country continues to fight the myths, misconceptions and stigma surrounding the coronavirus by providing mass tests and educating the people about the virus, despite the fact that the finances are dwindling, or rather corrupted out of the health sector.
So as workers in this fight against corruption in PPEs and corruption in all other COVID-19 interventions, we must elevate the struggle against corruption across the board, including inside the African National Congress.
When this thing started, they gave us cars. Now they don't want to pay us. Now they took the cars. Now they want us to come to training.
So when it comes to the struggle between the coronavirus and the economy, the truth is here in Africa, the economy will always win. Not only in South Africa, in Sudan, where the Tigray refugees are, and also here in Kenya. And that is why many countries in Africa are opening up to allow the economy to thrive just a little bit as we continue our fight against the coronavirus. And we all want this virus to end so that we can be reunited with our family. Just like this boy was reunited with his mom after being separated for 4 months because of COVID-19.
What did you miss about your mom?
Her cooking, and she takes care of me.
No, seriously though, Mom, please come home. I really miss your cooking. In the fight against the coronavirus, the worst thing is it came during an election period because there is no social distancing when it comes to campaigns. We're looking at the elections in Uganda. They are planning to have their elections on the 14th of January with 11 presidential candidates. But we're going to look at the two main candidates. That is the current president, Yoweri Museveni, and musician turned opposition leader, Bobi Wine, formerly known as Robert Chagulanyi. This is the latest. Bobi Wine's security was attacked by the Ugandan police force.
This morning, when our colleagues were brutalized, the Electoral Commission is silent. Now we have just survived the bullets, as you saw on camera. I know the police spokesperson will come and try to explain it in whichever way he wants. But you saw that our targets, our lives were targeted. The Electoral Commission is still silent. So we want to go and get answers from the Electoral Commission tomorrow.
This guy has been through a lot. Later that evening, he held a public address showcasing photographs as evidence of the unjust treatment of opposition leaders and supporters. He also called out on the Electoral Commission to do something about it. Brace yourself. This is not for the faint-hearted.
As you can see, these are the people that are being shot dead by the police and the military, and some goons that move around with guns but in plain clothes. As you can see, these are the scenes of our campaign meetings marred with violence, tear gas and live bullets from the military and the police.
His promise to the people and his supporters is he will continue fighting and the campaigns will go on.
Whether they address it or not, we are heading out and continuing with our campaign.
We still have a lot to talk about and it looks like we're running out of time. And that is why it's time for our next segment, Out of Time. On the 1st of December, Africa and the world joined hands to celebrate the World AIDS Day. The good news is the numbers and the stigma have gone down. This is great news for Africa because it felt like that virus had some breeding ground somewhere here. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, they have created cheaper and faster COVID-19 test kits. Looks like necessity is the mother of all inventions, because with these test kits, you can get your results within 40 minutes. Speaking of the coronavirus, everyone is asking themselves how Africa seems to be surpassing European countries when dealing with the pandemic. The truth is, I also want to know. According to Africa CDC, they attributed this success to the fact that Africa was quick to act when the coronavirus hit. That is it from me, Cynthia McKenna. This is Africa. See you next week, same time, same day on This Is The Day. I'm telling you, here in Africa, we are dominating this virus.
Well, there we have Cynthia McKenna with This Is Africa. Quite some interesting and very informative news there from Africa. And you do not want to miss out on this. Come next week and the other one and the other one. Because, hey, we will be here to keep you posted about what is happening in Africa. Now to some international news. And the coronavirus pandemic has had and driven an unprecedented boom on the online businesses in South Korea. But it has come with a sobering cost. 15 delivery workers have died so far this year. Their families blame the healthcare failure caused by the extreme overwork.
The pandemic has driven an unprecedented boom in online business in South Korea. But that has come at a sobering cost. 15 delivery workers have died so far this year. Their families blame health failure caused by extreme overwork. Jeong San-rok works 14 hours a day without a lunch break to deliver hundreds of boxes.
15 people already dead, which is very ironic because we're not working to die, but to live.
Many delivery workers are denied safeguards and basic benefits, such as minimum wage, overtime or insurance. Most are classified as self-employed, hired under what some refer to as gap-jill contracts. It's a legal blind spot that affects around 8% of South Korea's workforce, says Kim Tae-wan, the leader of a union of 5,000 couriers.
There are many gap-year contracts, while general workers are guaranteed by employment contract. Delivery workers cannot be protected because we are treated as self-employed. That leaves us exposed to abuse of power.
Labour officials say cutthroat competition adds pressure to cut delivery fees, which averages 72 cents per package. Activists compiled accounts of those whose deaths have been attributed to the system. Some developed breathing problems and chest pains, leading to heart failure or, in at least one case, suicide. Public outcry prompted apologies from big firms, an acknowledgement from South Korea's Labour Minister. But many hold out little hope of change at a time of record unemployment. Meanwhile, logistics firms are cashing in. Hanjin Transportation, Sang-rok's company, posted a 35% increase in first half-year operating profit.
Well, even as the deadly coronavirus continues to rage countries and counties across the world, people are now turning to COVID-19 related applications to figure out their day-to-day lives.
Two college students from Carnegie Mellon University in Pennsylvania have developed an interactive app that displays with one click real-time data of COVID-19 cases and deaths in each country around the world.
Basically, go on the website, you'll see a globe of the entire world, and you can click on any country in the world and you'll get the most recent active cases, the number of deaths, and the number of recoveries in that country.
They say their COVID visualizer is the first app to present up-to-the-minute COVID-19 data in a three-dimensional format.
There are others that do sort of this 2D map, but we believe that it's sort of more intuitive to be able to see everything in sort of 3 dimensions and be able to relate things much easier.
Physicians Liz Goldberg and Megan Rainey from Brown University in Rhode Island have developed an app as well. My COVID Risk was designed to help people assess their risk of getting the virus in specific situations and events.
The idea of this app is that before you go to the event, you can put in all the things you know that you might encounter, such as how many people are there, whether masks will be worn, how big the space is, and what type of activities you'll be doing. And then you get an idea of what your risk would be in contracting COVID if you decide to attend that event.
The doctors say they wanted to help people calculate the risks of doing the things they want to do in their lives.
As emergency physicians, Dr. Goldberg and I were constantly being asked by friends and family, is this safe to do? Is this safe to do? And we try to provide our best guesses based off of the science that we know.
Professor Rajat Mittal has developed a formula to help predict the risk of transmission of COVID-19 through airborne transmission. But Professor Mittal isn't turning his formula into an app. Apps can tell you your risk of doing something like going to the store or meeting with friends, but are not a guarantee against contracting the virus, he says.
The power of it is not necessarily to be able to give you an absolute estimate of risk, but more a relative estimate of risk. That if I'm going inside a place where there's 5 people versus 20 people, how much does my risk go up? Relative values is the key, and I think that's good enough to be able to kind of drive behavior.
As the world struggles with the pandemic, people are turning to apps to decide about their day-to-day risks. Julie Tabo, VOA News.
All right, there we have it. Now the big question is, would you trust an application during this time of COVID-19? That's the major question. I'm so grateful that you could make time for the show this beautiful evening. Thank you so much. My name is Sarah Otieno, and from I and the team, we wish you a very good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
And more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.